Well, we've kind of been up to our eyeballs preparing the case against Rogers.
Still not close to being enough.
Talking about? You gave the DOJ a slam dunk.
Yeah, there's no way the jury's not going to send Rogers to prison for the rest of his life.
Well, that's the problem. After what he did to Vance, what he did to all of us, prison seems too good for him.
Yeah, I get it. Not all criminals can be dealt with the Gibbs way.
Meaning?
Snapper bullet, 1,500 yards.
Rogers is dead, and while it's not explicitly said who's responsible, it's pretty clear it was the work of Parker and Gibbs working together. We know that's what Torres wanted because it comes up at the beginning of the episode. So how does he feel about what happened there and Parker and Gibbs doing that?
You know, I think Torres has had such a interesting ongoing frustration with how we do things on NCIS. Since he got there now 10 years ago, he's had to kind of really assimilate to how they do things, the rules, the protocols, you know, how they're going to go about it. So needless to say that he was thrilled to see that we were drawing outside the lines in the last 2 episodes because that's really where he thrives the most. That's really where he wants to live. And I think you're also going to see that, roughly, I would say for Torres, you're going to see that being a common theme in the next season as well. We're building to something pretty big with this character. But in full circle to these 2 episodes, I think Torres is the guy who just, wants to do it at all costs necessary.
So if Parker hadn't made that happen, do you think Torres would have maybe have called Gibbs in?
I don't know who called Gibbs, but it's definitely someone who knows him. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, if Torres is in touch with Gibbs, because we know that he was the closest thing that Torres had to a father.
Yes. So I don't know if I can say much, but I can tell you that that Gibbs taught Torres belonging, that it was okay to lean on others, especially when they risk their life for one another. It's those are the people that you basically trust the most. When Gibbs departure really kind of triggered a lot of different emotions for him, especially the stuff that we've seen build out in storyline for him and his father. And I think that he knew at some point that it was time for Gibbs to hang them up, and that maybe he would take off from what he left off. But there's a lot of growing pains with that as we go into the season. So I think people will be surprised how in touch with Gibbs Torres has been, secretly.
When Torres chases down Rogers on the ship, he finds Rogers on the phone with his opponent of justice. But if Rogers hadn't been on the phone and they'd been alone, do you think Torres would have shot him if he could have? How tempted was he?
Yes, Torres would have shot him. He would have taken the shot. I think there's a part of the new Torres that held him back, but the old Torres would have just not missed the opportunity to get the job done. Even if that means that he loses the badge, even if that means he gets absolutely exiled from the force. For him, I think justice at all costs necessary is really, who he is. And I think those roots are going to make their way back into Torres's life, He's definitely getting impatient, But yeah, he absolutely would have taken the shot. And I think that arguably you could have said that it would have made great TV. Also, it would have probably paved the road for a very hard to adjust the position of Torres within the team, But there's a lot of big paradigm shifting in the next season. So there's a lot of big disruptions happening because, every couple of years we try to assess and just shake it up a little bit. Next season, we have a big shake up.
The next episode after this is the finale, which is also your 200th episode of the show. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What does it mean to reach that milestone?
I mean, it's amazing. It's also really, oddly enough, a tad emotional because I've just tied my previous 70 show run, which was 200 episodes. And to be able to turn 200 episodes old on NCIS is what a gift for an actor. And then there's a lot that happened in between, a lot that happened after 70s, and then, during NCIS. So it's a really interesting thing to kind of look back and say, hey, I still feel I don't feel old, but I feel like that trajectory of over 500 plus, shows of television, it's episodes of television. It's something that I'm very proud of. Very proud of that I had the stamina to do that much television and at that quality. I'm very proud of what we do on NCIS. The fact that in my career I can say I had 200 episodes of a comedy, now 200 episodes of full-on drama. It's like that's also very rare, so it's not lost in me. And I just, I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself for continuing to swing and to continue to love it, because you go this far, almost 30 years in the game, you could maybe lose something along the way, and I still have that wonder. So I think I have another 500 left in me.
I think you do too. What can you tease about how the finale ends, like set up season 24? Like, how would you describe the cliffhanger? Because there's always a great cliffhanger on NCIS.
Yeah. The fact that we had such an early pickup to season 24 gave us the runway to really think it up. Look, there's a lot of stuff happening, right? Like McGee finds out that he has a son. There was a weird out of nowhere, will Knight and Torres, will they, won't they, right? How would this leave things with Jimmy and Torres, right? The death of Leon Vance, director of NCIS, his murder definitely shook us to a core. And it hasn't quite been like a storyline that has allowed us to just go back to original programming. We're trying to hang on to it. We're trying to just move forward with it, but it all collides in this last episode of the season. Again, we always try to set up the theme for next season. And in this one, it all directly kind of ties to what this show is going to be season 24. So the last scene, and I can't tell you much, but the last scene of this episode, I get so much. I always get in trouble with these. I would say the last scene of the finale is one that's going to leave you going like, oh, something horrible just happened, and we're going to have to wait until the season premiere. But we build up to it. It's paid off in a really great way, and we have an amazing plan. And episode 1 of season 24 is going to make people's brains explode, because it doesn't just pick up where it left off. It kicks off with, like, let's just say, new elements.
Oh, I'm so intrigued. How is Torres doing with Vance's death? Like, especially like after an episode like this one that like brought it to the forefront in the penultimate.
Yeah, he really has always thought that we never did enough, and that we never saw it coming. And how did we not see it coming when we're supposed to be looking out for one another? He lives more in the espionage world, right? He lives more in like kind of the dark underworld of, of things that happen, that the people don't know exist, So he feels pretty responsible for the figuring it out. So he just doesn't, and that will come out at some point later. I'm giving you like just forethinking of the character, but I will say also that for a character like Torres, if somebody got that close to one of us, then anything can happen between all of us. So I think that's something that I think the fans can have a lot of fun with, and I every time I get a question that teases the world, I don't ever want to be the actor that's just like, you're gonna have to wait and see. Like, I just hate those interviews. And when actors do that, it's just like, maybe you haven't even shot the episode yet, But for me, it's really about like, the fans are so loyal and they show up for us in such incredible ways. This franchise has really kind of created a canvas where they're also painting, because we are listening. We are paying attention to what they say online, what they want more of, what they rub against, and we try to tailor our storylines for things that they want to see, So let's just say that we stopped, we listened, and we definitely did.
There has been talk of Torres and Knight this season, both on screen and off of it. To me, it reads as platonic, I will say, which I think like it's nice to have that platonic relationship because they mean so much to each other either way.
Yeah.
But what's your take on like, where is Torres when it comes to Knight? Because Torres just hasn't had luck in love in general.
Yeah. I just don't know that he's a stable enough dude to hold a relationship right now. I think the things that he has had to see, the things that he has had to endure, it makes him someone that, that perhaps needs to be a little selfish with himself and just do some work. But that said, he was kind of genetically built to be that guy. You want that guy to lead in the front. You want him to open the door and bust in, so it's tough in relationships for him. He's got a lot of those abandonment issues where things have an expiration date, so and we know how that turned out the first time, he tried to do that within the team, so I don't know. Will there be an accident between the two of them? Yeah, who knows? I can't not confirm or deny. Will that make things a little messy at work? Who knows? It might be great TV. I mean, we are definitely not Grey's Anatomy, so I don't think you have too much fear that's going to get that soapy. But I will say that we have a lot of fun with making them humans, and the humanity is part of the show, and making sure they feel like these things can and perhaps happen in real life is how we do, I think, what we do really well on NCIS. So I don't know. I don't know where it goes. It just all depends on the fans. If they want to see something like that, then I'm sure it's going to get complicated, But I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
So where's Torres' heart when it comes to Bishop now? After everything that happened this season with them when she returned, like, how much is he still thinking about her, do you think, at this point?
I think she's never left, the universe. I think he's learned a lot from their partnership. And, she was the first character that taught Torres it was okay to trust in the team. She was the one that understood him at levels that the rest of the team didn't. And in the episode Her, we kind of got to see the fact that, like, there was a different connection there that was very honest and was only for them, and that was the thing that I felt really excited about, her returning, is that he finally told the audience they had a thing that nor the team or the audience even know about. And so that was really, really fun. But I would say, I think that's part of, the growing pains for Torres, is the like, how do I remember this? And I think thanks to that episode, he will now remember it all very fondly, knowing that it was real.